Let's start a reading of Section 2 of the GOGI Life Tools mini book. We're on Chapter 7. This is the Tools of Choice. I'm Coach Taylor, the author of the book, and you'll be getting a few of my commentaries throughout. Chapter 7, the Tools of Choice: Positive Thoughts, Positive Words, and Positive Actions. The second set of GOGI Life Tools are designed to permit you to make positive choices in 3 specific areas: your thoughts, your words, and your actions. By using the tools of choice, your daily interactions improve almost immediately. The tools of choice are about creating positive choices. With the tools of choice, you have the opportunity to show the world who you are becoming through your new, more positive choices. These GOGI Life Tools help you redefine yourself and help you maximize the opportunities you wish to attract. Choose your focus. With positive thoughts, you choose to focus on the positive rather than dwell on the negative. With positive words, you choose to strengthen the world around you with the choices of your words. With positive actions, you choose to show the world who you are choosing to become. Choice puts you in the place of personal control and power. You get to create a positive version of how the world sees you when you apply the tools of choice. These tools were added to the GOGI toolbox when the women at the Los Angeles County Jail who participated in the GOGI Campus program believed improvement of their choices was an essential addition to their long-term change. The GOGI Campus was a precedent-setting situation for its time. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department cleared the path for GOGI to provide programming to an exclusive housing unit that was called GOGI Campus. Female inmates were referred to as students instead of inmates, and the dreary block walls were slathered with inspirational GOGI posters and art created by the more than 300 women who were admitted to the campus over a 2-year period. GOGI girls developed GOGI Life Tools. When GOGI Campus first opened, the GOGI Life Tools were only 6 in number. Those first tools were developed by the men in a federal prison where I had volunteered. The women in GOGI Campus, a pre-sentencing jail, had far more intense environments. A full 7 days a week, from before dawn to long after dusk, the GOGI girls would sit in circle groups in the day room of their module, creating GOGI classes based on the GOGI Life Tools and subjects of importance to them. From this daily dive into the depths of newly discovered competencies came 6 more tools that completed the GOGI toolbox. The tools of choice were a gift offered by the women of GOGI Campus, just like the first 6 tools were a gift offered by the men. One woman put it this way: "Coach Taylor, we are 24 women in this tiny, smelly, dimly lit dungeon. We need these tools added to our GOGI toolbooks or we'll go insane." Undecided futures. The pre-sentencing stage of incarceration is particularly stressful due to the uncertainty. For example, if a mother were to be sentenced to 4 years in prison and she did not have a suitable family member to care for her children, it was likely she would lose her children to adoption. The state would provide foster care, but within 2 years, they begin to look for a suitable long-term home for the children displaced by their parents' actions. For one young girl, her gangster boyfriend pulled out a gun from beneath his car seat and killed a rival gang member. This meant a prison number for the girl who was his willing accomplice to the murder. For another GOGI girl, the terror came with the agonizing realization of her drug-induced actions while running the streets. In the GOGI Campus, she detoxed from heroin, and her nightly tremors and wailing were heard throughout the thick block walls, impacting the entire campus. As she cleared from the haze of addiction, She began having nightmares of selling her own child for sex in exchange for drugs. Her wailing became inconsolable as she realized her nightmare had actually been a reality. Girls were released from jail and new girls joined the campus, each crying big tears over the events that got them there. Each contributed in their own unique way to the development of the GOGI culture, which now offers us solutions to problem and direct routes to new possibilities for everyone. Within the walls of the jail module called GOGI Campus, there were 300 stories, 300 broken hearts, and 300 women determined not to give up. Day after day, 24 girls emerged from their cells, stating the GOGI Pledge of Service. Then they sat in the day room in their seats and studied, developed, practiced, discussed, and lived the GOGI way. The birthplace of the 3 Ps. GOGI Campus was the birthplace of the tools of choice and the 3 Ps within: positive thoughts, positive words, and positive actions. The women discovered when they filtered everything through the 3 Ps, they made better choices. Before a thought, a word, or an action, they considered, is it powerful? Is it productive? Is it positive? Keeping drama to a minimum. The tools of choice helped reduce the inherent angst of jail life and permitted the GOGI girls the ability to form the habit of using these GOGI Life tools daily. But while the women of GOGI Campus were actively engaged in developing the lifestyle that would become the GOGI way, they were not alone. At the Central Training Facility, CTF, of the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, under the direction of Warden Marion Spearman, GOGI was permitted to have more than 100 male prisoners assemble in a large gym every Friday night. These 100 GOGI students would gather in circle groups of 8 to 12 group members. They would study their GOGI Life Tools according to the GOGI Life Tool calendar in a series of 15 meetings before completing a round of study. Positive words was the tool being discussed on a particular day when I was present as a special guest. After a general meeting where I was asked to address the entire group, I was able to sit with a few circle groups during the discussion. When I got to Coach Johnny's group, they were engrossed in an activity that captivated my attention. One group member stood in the center of the circle. Then, one by one, each of the group members looked that peer in the eye and stated one profoundly positive thing about them. They stated something they had observed or come to understand about each other over the course of their weeks together. Strong men strengthen others. It was an incredible sight to see as grown men expressed respect for the deep relationships within the circle groups. As they stood in the center of the circle, men were acknowledged for their level of integrity, insight, care for others, and willingness to become the solution rather than a burden to society. I watched as a tear found its way down one man's cheek before he revealed through his broken voice that he could not remember hearing anything positive about himself, ever. I fought back my own tears as each man expressed gently chosen positive words which were formed from their positive thoughts and delivered in a setting of positive actions. At that moment, while seated in Coach Johnny's circle group, I realized that GOGI and living the GOGI way was much bigger than just my willingness to listen to an unheard population. GOGI was actually enabling these men to cut directly to the core of the human purpose of finding freedom through living a life of service. This enabled them to bypass all the politics and cultural limitations inherent in the setting of prison life. A united force for good. The men of CTF and the women of GOGI Campus at the county jail were on the same journey. They were identifying simple ways to reduce the angst of poor decisions. In doing so, they replaced them with the positive culture they could call their own. What the women offered as an essential addition to the GOGI toolbox ultimately freed the men from the confines of cultural limitations and negative norms. Through positive thoughts, positive words, and positive actions, these men could show up in their own communities as a solution rather than a problem. While separated by block walls and many miles, these two groups of individuals were united in their dedication, and GOGI provided a solid way in which they could collaborate on creating a solution for all mankind. Here's a little note I wrote. It may be difficult to believe, but there is far more positive in the world than negative. There are far more positive people than negative. And there are far more positive experiences than negative. Your opportunity with the GOGI Life Tools is to direct your decisions towards the positive. In doing so, you will find yourself in an environment of increased positivity. I got to say that is completely true. The GOGI Life Tools, I'm going to read them again. Boss of my brain, belly breathing, 5-second light switch. Positive thoughts, positive words, positive actions. Claim responsibility, let go, forgive. What if, reality check, ultimate freedom. We're on to Chapter 8, Positive Thoughts. Positive Thoughts is part of the set of tools called Tools of Choice and was created when a group of GOGI girls were in a small housing module day in and day out with very little ability to get away from each other for much needed alone time. Where alone time was not possible, this tool was created to build their ability to withstand all sorts of peer pressure, bad attitudes, general negativity, and drug or alcohol addiction. They decided, rather than giving up and giving in, they would become more committed to living positive lives. You can do this too, with positive thoughts. When negativity creeps into your head, you can banish it forever with your tool called Positive Thoughts. Only you can choose your thoughts. No one else can tell you what to think. You can choose to think of something positive or negative. It's not possible for someone to force you to think a certain way. You have choices. At any moment, you can think of a mountain, think of a song, think of a television show. Try it. Change your thoughts. Your thoughts are yours to pick regardless of what is going on around you. You can pick any thought at any time. Here's another fact. Your thoughts are more powerful than you may realize. When you think of positive things, then you will see other things in your world that are positive. When you see the world more positively, you will tend to experience the more positive version of the world as well. With this tool, you will begin to see more positive around you. Turn it around. If someone feels depressed, hopeless, or irritable, positive thoughts can quickly turn things around. This is because positive thoughts is a great tool to use to turn the tide on your thinking, which oftentimes turns the tides of events in your life. The challenge for some people in altering their perspective is that when they are being negative, they claim they are simply being realistic. They are so stuck on being right or honest or dealing truthfully with reality that they are seeing only the negative and are stuck on how right they are. This poses a problem for them because they wallow in negativity, committed to their rightness. This locks them into the negative, and they become part of the problem, not part of the solution. Right is a perspective. Until that person is willing or able to consider that their version of right is just a perspective held by their opinionated observation, then there is little room for change. Positive thoughts is the critical tool for negative individuals, but unfortunately, it's often positive people who use this tool most frequently. Negative people often continue to be negative and claim they would be positive if things were better. For the GOGI Life Tool positive thoughts to work for the negative individual, there needs to be enough room in their mind to consider that being negative is one perspective. The negative is not necessarily 100% reality, nor is the negative thought the sum total of possibilities. Not the only thought. When a negative thought enters our minds, that is not the only thought we can have. We can create many other thoughts and many other perspectives, such as, it's been worse, or it will get better, or someone somewhere on earth has it worse, or I can get through this tough time. No one can make my mind negative is also something. And there's an unlimited list of others. Positive thoughts is a tool we use because we may not always be positively supported by our environment. Environmentally supported positive thoughts are easy and often temporary. When we truly own our life experience, we create positive thoughts even in the most negative of environments. Positive thoughts, the 3 Ps. Is it powerful? Is it productive? Is it positive? With every thought, I ask the 3 Ps. Positive thoughts are yours to create. Here is how you can master the GOGI Life Tool positive thoughts. Notice. I notice my thoughts. I created this thought. Consider. Is my thought negative or positive? Is it helping me be positive? Choice. I have positive things I can choose to think about right now. Swap. I replace all negative thoughts with something positive. No one can intrude your mind unless you give them permission. Every thought you have is only yours to choose. In truth, your thoughts are of your own creation. At any moment, you can think of something positive or negative. When people think of the GOGI Life Tool positive thoughts, they think it's simply just thinking positive thoughts. But it's far more than that. It's becoming the boss of that thought, filtering it through your 3 Ps. Is the thought powerful? Is the thought productive? Is the thought positive? By asking these questions when you have a thought, you are beginning to be the creator of your life. Your thoughts are important, far more important than you realize. They are the engine, they're the gasoline in the car. Your thoughts are up to you. And we're on to Chapter 9, Positive Words. Positive Words is part of the set of tools called Tools of Choice and was created by the GOGI girls of the GOGI campus when they realized that it was not enough to simply use positive thoughts. They quickly realized that if their thoughts remained in their head, they were vulnerable to outside influence. When they used their positive words, it was almost as if they were building an additional shield of protection to keep them from being negatively impacted, regardless of the outside circumstances. When they used positive words, they were less inclined to become the victim of negative circumstances. You can use your positive words as your biggest weapon to fend off attackers of your peace of mind and positive life. If you wrote down all the words you say each day, are they mostly negative or mostly positive? Do you think others force you to choose a certain set of words? Do you make excuses for the negative words you choose? Words contain the power to create opportunity or obstacles. With a compliment, you can change someone's day. With a criticism, you may destroy someone's hope. You have options. In addition to choosing to speak using the tool positive words, It is your option to associate with others who use the tool. When you associate with other positively speaking individuals, you are associating with individuals who are in control of their lives. They are in a position of power. They can make the choice to focus on the positive. Individuals who frequently complain, criticize, or talk negatively about their lives or others may find that the tool positive words will help them. This is because complaining enhances and encourages more negativity. Positive words, however, help you move beyond the negative. Change everything. For those individuals who are prone to seeing or experiencing negativity, positive words is a great tool to change just about everything. First off, know that your word choice is more revealing about you than you might think. The words you choose and how you say them will almost always determine what happens in your work life, your home life, your love life, and your friendships. Positive words is your tool to improve all those areas of your life, but they come at a price. To use positive words correctly, you will need to give up and let go of many of the words which you have heard, thought, and said for many years. You will need to let go of negative comments about the world, politics, friends, family, work, money, and everything else. An easy filter. Here's an easy filter. Before you say a word, ask yourself, does what I'm about to say create the opportunity for things to improve? Don't fool yourself into thinking that tearing someone or something down has ever made things better. When dealing with humans, more is accomplished and less hurt is caused when the focus is on strengths. Nothing good has ever come from ripping a person to shreds and expecting them to put themselves back together in a better condition. That is the example we have learned from the prison systems, a system which is prone to tear down the individual, punish them, and then expect them to be better for it. Know better than your words. If you are talking negatively about any human, then you are no better than the system you believe is so destructive. Until you can learn that lifting up is more powerful than ripping apart, you are no better than those who demean and disrespect you. Here is another tough pill to swallow. It is likely you will need to change first, while still under the oppression of criticism and condemnation of others. Do not waste your time waiting for them to use the tool positive words. You must first make the choice to get out of the system of negativity and destruction by committing to lift up others while lifting up yourself in the process. Your word list. One way to remain focused on the positive is to make a small list of words you wish you would hear, words that you want to say, and words that change difficult situations. These words might be created from something you read or something you heard. The key is to get them down on paper and then tuck that paper in your wallet, your shoe, or your keychain. The key is to have ready access to this list. You will find that when you have this list with you, the words on the list will be used more frequently. Pretty soon, the words on your list will become second nature and part of your daily conversation. The key with positive words is that you know which ones you like. You list them and then review that list many times during the day. What you may find surprising is how others around you begin to use them too. Positive words are contagious. Positive words, the 3 Ps. Is it powerful? Is it productive? Is it positive? With every word, I ask the 3 Ps. Here's how to use positive words. Listen. I listen to what is being said. Consider. Is my opinion positive or negative? Get away. What good can possibly come out of this? If there is no possibility of good, I get myself and my thoughts away from the situation. Choose. I've selected from my positive words and I will use those words now. Claim. I am my positive words. I state my positive words out loud in a letter or as I am thinking. Most people use the same words as they did yesterday. How can you expect things to be different when you're using the same words to communicate? The tool positive words changes the course of your life from accepting how things were to creating them how you want them to be. We're on to Chapter 10, Positive Actions. Positive Actions is part of the set of tools called Tools of Choice. This tool was the obvious tool emerging from the other tools of choice. This is because the students of GOGI realized that it was possible to shield themselves from negativity by using positive thoughts, and they could increase their protection by using positive words. And when they used positive actions, they drove away people, places, and things that did not positively support what they wanted in their life. With practice, you can use positive actions to prove to yourself and others that it is possible to change the course of your life and be happy, positive, sober, sane, and successful. Using the tool positive actions is your proof to the world that you are moving your life in a powerful and positive direction. What you choose to read, what you choose to do with your free time, and what you choose to watch are exactly that, choices. You also choose how to react to what happens around you. Your reaction to disappointments and how you handle bad news announces to the world who you are. Positive Actions is a tool to help you give the most positive response to life's inevitable challenges. Positive Actions is a powerful tool that you can use. Positive Actions is a powerful tool that you can use to influence others in a positive way. When you choose to use the tool Positive Actions, it is likely you will be making it possible for someone else to see an example of something positive. Most individuals follow the leader, and they do what they've seen done. If you make it a habit to use positive actions, you will be improving the lives of others as well as yourself, even if you don't immediately see the outcome. You lead your life. The tool Positive Actions puts you in a leadership position of your life, a respected position as an individual who possesses self-control and maturity. Using this tool is a display of your bigger vision of life and shows that you are aware that challenges will come and you are defined by your reactions to those challenges. If you want to display the best part of you to the world, Positive Actions is the tool to use. If you are using the tools positive thoughts and positive words, then positive actions will come fairly easily. You cannot use positive thoughts and positive words and not have positive actions as a natural outcome. Even if you are struggling with negative thoughts and can't seem to get beyond negative words, the tool Positive Actions will empower you to overcome the negative. Actions are your proof. Your use of positive actions is your proof. When repeated over and over again, positive actions can help define the new version of who you are becoming. It is not enough to do something positive one time. It is in the repetition that the change becomes lasting. Just like a professional star athlete, you must practice until success becomes a habit, change is formed, and the new definition of you emerges through repetition. You may not want to start school because it will take 2, 3, or 4, or 7, or 10 years to finish. You may think you can't do it, that your brain is fried, that you are too old or never really learned quickly. All that negativity can keep you from using your tool, Positive Actions. One day at a time. It is far better to take one day at a time. Just practice using the tool Positive Actions for one day. Just fill out the application. Get on the list for class. Just attend church. Just go to that AA meeting. Just read that book. Just have that positive conversation. one action at a time. You create a better version of you with your actions. When we take our head out of the clouds to bring the current moment into focus, we find that our lives are built on moment-to-moment decisions. Your use of positive actions may seem like a drop of water in an ocean, but with enough drops placed in the ocean day after day, change is eventually noticeable. Just accept that one drop is one precious drop of freedom, then create another drop, and then another. Sometimes we focus on those things we could have done better, or how we made a poor choice, or where we messed up. It is wise to reflect on mistakes, but it is not helpful to put all our attention there. When we remember all of the positive actions we have taken in our life, it becomes easier to use the GOGI Life tool called Positive Actions. Positive actions, the 3 Ps. Is it powerful? Is it productive? Is it positive? With every action, I ask the 3 Ps. With the tool Positive Actions, you make a declaration of where you are headed. To use positive actions, all you need to do is consider my action. I consider this action. Is it positive or does it represent my old way of being? Pick my positives. I pick my positive actions. I have 3 positive actions ready and waiting. Choose. Am I going to choose a positive action and leave the negative in the dust? Things don't need to change in order for you to use positive actions. The use of this tool every day adds up and creates a solid foundation for lasting change. One big action is cool, but the real change is in the small choices you make minute by minute. Here's a little commentary on that. When I would be walking into a housing unit, maybe there are 100 men in a housing unit on 2 levels, a gray, dank, smelly building. And there'll be 2 or 3 correctional officers down at this main desk area. Off on the side would be 2 or 3 counselors behind closed doors. Positive actions were difficult to choose for many men because they kept focusing on the gray brick walls, the smell, the officers, the counselors with the shut doors. It was hard. It was difficult for them to actually think a positive action is possible. But as the GOGI leaders and I worked together, we discovered that it was pretty easy if they were doing something positive, like reading a GOGI book or studying a GOGI book together. It was pretty darn easy to get those officers to pop out some of the guys and let them sit at the little metal spider tables and do some GOGI work. And what was amazing was then guys would come out to their door and say, what are those guys doing? What they're doing GOGI. They're doing GOGI. So a couple hundred men looking out the window at 5 or 6 guys sitting around a metal table talking about positive thoughts, positive words, and positive actions. Even in the worst possible situation, you can choose a positive action. You can choose to thought swap. You can choose to belly breathe. You can choose to be the boss of your brain. You can choose to communicate with somebody in a gentle tone. Your choices are completely and totally yours. Positive thoughts, positive words, and positive actions. We're on Chapter 11, The Tools of Moving Forward. Claim responsibility, let go, forgive. The next set of tools is called the tools of moving forward. For some individuals, these tools are the most challenging because they require self-awareness and insight. Some individuals would rather have things remain the same and complain about them because it's easier. The tools of moving forward require that you be willing to move forward. They are for those who are willing to move beyond things that may be getting in the way of progress and internal happiness. You can move forward. The tools of moving forward are about moving forward in your life. Tools of moving forward help you with moving beyond the past. The truth is, unless you are prepared to claim responsibility, let go, and forgive, lasting change may be difficult. When you use the GOGI Life Tool, claim responsibility for your actions and your reactions, along with let go for daily irritants and forgive to get distance from harm, you create room in your head, your heart, and your soul for positive decision-making. By the time we are 13 years old, it's helpful if we've learned how to navigate beyond hardships, abuse, disappointment, and abandonments. Bad things seem to accumulate during this period of time, which is why the tools of moving forward are so helpful. The problem is, moving beyond bad things is not a subject taught in schools. Parents are often ignorant or actually are the cause of the bad things, so looking toward them for teaching might not be productive. Moving past the past. The tools of moving forward were created to deal with these inevitable life challenges. These tools enable us to create the present and a future unencumbered by the negative aspects of all we have endured. While most of us never learned these tools when we needed them in our teens, it's never too late to apply them. In doing so, the pain of our teenage years seems to melt away with little resistance. In my observation of individuals in prison, it seems to hold true that life starts to unravel in outwardly noticeable ways as we hit our teenage years, often creating a spiral from which few emerge unscathed. The pain we suffered earlier in our lives often begins to be revealed in our teenage decisions and is noticeable in our choice of friends and our behavior. We act out, sometimes not even truly realizing why. We may show signs of low self-esteem, insecurity, anxiety, depression, rage, or a wide variety of behaviors, permitting our caregivers to start slapping labels or medication on us. The tools of moving forward promote the dumping of as much early life baggage as possible. This permits us to move beyond the hurts when life requires more responsibilities. Claim responsibility. Claim responsibility gives you the power to move beyond decisions of the past and be totally and completely focused on today's decisions, which are most important. This is powerful because we often link the bad decisions of the past to the present and get stuck in a loop of harm, repeating the same bad decisions and naively hoping for a different outcome. Isolating each decision when we use the tool helps us keep things new and fresh and less likely to be tainted by the past. Let go. With the handy tool, Let Go, you can simply do a quick hand squash toss of any emotion that stands in your way of happiness, thereby moving forward beyond the temptation to circle back to re-engage with people, places, or things that have rattled your cage in the past. You won't really be physically letting go of anything when you use this tool. You simply get the thought out of the way so you can move beyond its tendency to stop your progress. Forgive. Lastly, the tool Forgive helps you find safety from harm so that you can move forward with creating an awesome life. This tool has you ask yourself what you need to do in order to be safe from harm. When you use this tool, you take note of what causes you harm or puts you in a position to create harm, and has you get away from that situation. In order to give back and be of service, you have to be safe. Are you defined by suffering? In my own life, tools of moving forward were possibly the most difficult set of tools to master. This is because my life suffering remained excusable for as long as I remained the victim. For as long as I could blame others for my circumstance, I did not need to use the tool claim responsibility for present life experience. For as long as I held tight to the pain I suffered, I did not need to use the tool let go to free myself from continual angst. For as long as I hovered around pain-causing people, places, and things, I could not use the safety tool forgive, so I could not think beyond my own petty needs. By ignoring the tools of moving forward, I had every reason to complain and suffer. This was very convenient and, in fact, very comfortable. I was, as a result of my suffering, actually defined in a way that was oddly acceptable. I worked really diligently to not be the victim, but in continuing to recall all the injustices of my life, I just kept working in circles, never really moving forward. For me, change did not occur overnight. In fact, my changes were so subtle that they went unnoticed by everyone, even me. Through my practice of the tools, each and every waking moment, I realized a few thoughts here and there were different. Over time, I got an inkling that maybe, just maybe, I could begin to ignore the injustices and not carry them with me to my grave. Slow growth is lasting. I began to claim responsibility for what was going on in the moment, unhooking it from the past events that would normally make it convenient to claim were not in my control. Then, ever so subtly, I would toss away things that were daily irritants, using let go to make more space in my mind to focus on those things that were working well in my life. The kicker was when it came to forgive. This tool requires us to get a safe distance from harm. For me, I needed distance from otherwise close relationships whenever I felt heightened emotions or expectations of something different than what I was delivered. If my emotions were intense around someone else's words, actions, or lack thereof, I simply needed a safe distance from them until I could better manage my actions and my reactions and responses. Realizing it was unlikely they would change and coming to terms with the fact that they were genetically linked to me and not likely to be absent from my life forever, I needed to get a safe enough space from family from the harm I was causing myself in expecting something different than what they were able or willing to deliver. Forgive helped me get the distance I needed from my family to develop the skills to not let them control my life's outcome. A frightening question. I came to the point where defining myself as my past was no longer relevant to the life I wanted to create. Who was I, really, if not my suffering? Who was I if I was not defined by my past? These are frightening questions when asked with deep intention to reveal the truth. I discovered it's far more convenient to remain a victim. Yet I was too weary to play out the next 50 years in the same manner. Not playing to your weakness. Certainly the tools of moving forward are not for the weak, but they are for the weary. For the individual who simply is tired of being tired, the tools of moving forward are a welcomed reprieve. It takes every bit of remaining strength to make the decision to leave the baggage behind and take that step into the unknown, realizing, at long last, that even the unknown has to be better than one more round of the past. emotional prisons. The personal prison I experienced in my life was an emotional prison created by my lack of coping tools to enable me to move forward. I was stuck in the loop of harm, and the more I languished there, the deeper the hole got, and the more impossible it was for me to get myself out. My inability to move forward was the root cause for my mental prison. The students of GOGI would concur that a majority of their addiction and poor decisions as adults were a result of not being able to move beyond abuses or violations of their childhood. A full 80% of women in the jail module called GOGI Campus reported sexual abuse as a child. Most witnessed violence. Nearly all stated they had experienced trauma. They were unable to move beyond the experiences and felt doomed to repeat cycles of poor decisions. Moving beyond trauma. Girls are not the only victims of traumatic childhoods. Boys are molested, beaten, and abused far more frequently than is documented. These boys end up addicted to drugs or acting out in an effort to move beyond the trauma. Their shame is often funneled into choices that may impede their ability to move forward. Acting on all they have available to them, poor choices are the only means with which they find solace. A prison term as an adult is a common outcome for these boys who suffer a level of silence that few understand. Who am I? Let me share with you a story, one of millions that make up the experiences of far too many children. We will call him R, but his real name is chiseled into my mind. He was the first prisoner who shared the horrors of his childhood with me as he waged a desperate attempt to reconcile his life by using the GOGI Life Tools. I never met R except through his letters to the GOGI mailroom. When he began his study of the tools of moving forward, he nearly halted and terminated any future study. His biggest concern, his letter stated, was how he would define himself if not by his past. Who was R if he was not the young boy who was locked in the dog cage outside the rundown trailer called home? Who was R if he was not the boy sold for sexual favors by his drunkard stepfather who would sit and drink while R was being raped in the bedroom nearby? Who was R if he was not the man sentenced to life in prison for the murder of someone who attacked him? We may find that defining ourselves by our past experiences is a logical method of figuring out what is likely to be the present and future. History is generally the best predictor of future events, unless there is a solid commitment to move beyond previous limits and create new opportunities. When what we have experienced in the past will no longer work, the ever-so-faint vision of the future, that is when tools of moving forward come in handy. Now here's some commentary for you. The tools of moving forward were challenging for me because, like R, I didn't know who I was if I was not defined by my family and not feeling heard, not being seen, being ignored, being criticized for being too dramatic, or in all ways just not ever fitting in with them. The rejection I felt defined who I was. Being the odd duck, drove me to want to excel in popularity. And so I found all sorts of ways to become a public speaker or learn things that I could share. So in a real way, the things that hurt me the most ended up fueling my desire to be the person I am today. All of that is because the tools are moving forward. Let's explore Chapter 12, Claim Responsibility. Claim responsibility is part of the set of tools called Tools of Moving Forward. This tool is not about claiming responsibility for the past. Instead, the tool Claim Responsibility is about today and tomorrow. When you use this tool, you realize how you respond and react to anything is under your direct command. No one can make you angry. It is you who chooses to let others anger you. No one can make you violent. It is you who chooses if you will let others bring out violence in you. No one can make you drink or use drugs. It is you who chooses if you put yourself in a position where saying no is a challenge. When you use claim responsibility, you move forward into a life you may have never thought possible. There are many ways to interpret the words claim and responsibility. With how GOGI use these words, they provide a powerful way to gain perspective with which you can move forward in your life. There were many things that happened to and around you in the past. Many of them were your responsibility, and many were not your responsibility, or you had no knowledge or choice in the matter. Using claim responsibility as a GOGI Life tool is not about the past at all. GOGI does not focus on reconciling the past because it could take years, possibly a lifetime, to understand what occurred and unravel the mess that resulted. GOGI is about creating a positive future for individuals trying to resolve the past. The fact is, the past is more easily reconciled when you have momentum moving positively into the present and the future. Your choices. Rather than remain stuck and unable to move forward, claim responsibility is about your choices today. It is kind of like having a broken car at the side of the road, but not having any tools or help to fix it. You can remain at the side of the road all day, complaining about how you have a broken car. Or you can gather up the things you need, shut the car door, and start walking toward your freedom. Today is yours. The students of GOGI don't want you to remain stuck in the past forever, reliving what you did or what happened. That actually creates a vacuum and disables any insight you might gain from the past. Claim responsibility as a tool states that no matter what happened or what you did in the past, today is yours to become part of the solution and make positive decisions. With claim responsibility, you have the power over your actions and your reactions today and forevermore. It does not diminish your actions of the past or permit you to remain stuck in them. Getting unstuck is the key to developing insight. When you use claim responsibility, how you act and how you react is no longer tied to a terrible childhood or an addiction or a criminal background or gang membership or not having a father, not having a mother, drinking too much, a greedy mentality, a death, a betrayal, abuse, or anything else which might have provoked you to do the things you later regret. Gaining forward momentum. If you are an individual with a lot of history and a heavy weight of the past slowing your ability to move forward, claiming responsibility permits you to gain forward momentum. Once you have forward momentum, the past is more easily reconciled, insight can be achieved, and lasting change can occur. We use claim responsibility in a slightly different manner than the words suggest. Remember, we are using claim responsibility as a tool, not as something your teacher, parent, or counselor, politics, family, friends, work, money, and everything else want you to do. Claim responsibility is a proactive tool that relates to your future. You can certainly claim an appropriate level of responsibility for your actions of the past. That is different than using claim responsibility as a GOGI Life tool. This is because at GOGI, We are less concerned about the past and more concerned about your ability to make better choices today. We find that claim responsibility promotes positive decision-making today and tomorrow. The tool and the process. As a tool, you can use claim responsibility to take charge of your actions, your reactions, your opinions, your words, and your responses to every single thing from this day forward. Your tool, claim responsibility, does not let anyone else take over your life in creating that process. With claim responsibility, everyone and everything is kept out of the decision-making. With claim responsibility, everyone and everything is kept out of the decision-making boardroom of your brain. Only you are in charge of how you act, react, perceive, and respond. With claim responsibility as a GOGI Life Tool, you will never say, "He made me mad. It's your fault." Or, "If it wasn't for my situation, I would be happy." That kind of thinking is not going to help you create freedom in your life. It disables you and makes you a victim of circumstance. At GOGI, we know you can be the creator of a better life, and claim responsibility is your tool to help. Claim responsibility. Am I proud of this choice? I am responsible for all my actions and reactions today. As a GOGI Life Tool, claim responsibility is easy because it has less to do with the past and everything to do with this moment, on this day, and from now on. Here's how to use claim responsibility. Consider, what is happening around me? Am I in charge? Am I in charge of my actions and reactions today? I own it. I can choose how to respond right now. I own today. Claim responsibility is a great way to stop blaming others, the system, or your past self for things. It puts you in control of your life from this day forward. Ask yourself, am I proud of this choice? How you react and how you respond is 100% in your control when you use claim responsibility. With this tool, today becomes yours to create as a positive step forward in your life. There's a little commentary on this one. This tool, claim responsibility, often challenges those who are very much stuck in the dogma of specific religions because for some reason they believe that they need to be in some way punished for the things they have done. And in truth, there is great value in claiming responsibility for all your actions. However, it is equally as important, if not even more so, to put yourself in a position where you will never, ever do anything like that again. And to get into that mind space, we have to get you claiming responsibility for your future. We can't have you sit around and wallow about the things that happened to you or the things that you did. You can't spend your life in the blame game or blaming yourself or shame. That does nothing to help you be a solution for the troubles you see around you. In my own life, it was hard to get beyond some of the things I've done or said or who I was or how certain people perceive me to be. The longer I was stuck in the web of that, the more distance there was between that and who I really am. So when I began to claim responsibility for my actions and my reactions today, it kind of softened the blow of what happened to me in the past. Chapter 13, Let Go. Let Go is part of the set of tools called Tools of Moving Forward and was created for people who have a tendency to carry the heavy load of their past with them into the present and the future. By putting negative thoughts about people, places, and things in your hand and giving them the hand squash toss, you will find there is more room in your head and in your heart for more positive life choices. To actually be a better person, you must move forward beyond the heavy darkness intruding your decisions today. Regret for harm caused is essential, but wallowing in regret for so long that it creates other poor decisions will not help you move forward. Give it the hand squash toss and commit to using let go so that you can move forward and make more positive choices. Let go can be challenging as a tool for many people. This is often because once something happens, something terribly or massively influential, your life changes around that event. Thoughts, words, and actions, and your very being adjust to what happened. For example, it could be that someone close to you was killed or something really bad happened to you as a child. It could be the first time you got high or when you were abandoned or betrayed. It could be the trauma you experienced from falling victim to an addiction which stole years of your life. Whatever the negative event was, it became part of your identity, causing you to exclude choices and decisions which may have been more positive. Let go might sound like an easy tool, but it is not easy for many individuals. Here's an example which shows just how difficult it can be. If you swap the situation described below to fit your own life, you will understand why the tool let go seems nearly impossible for many people. Could it be that holding on to the past is the reason people play out negative and unproductive lifestyles? Who are you? Let's say in this example, you have identified yourself as someone from your city all your life. You are the one everyone comes to for advice and counsel. Your life in your city just so happens to create an environment where drugs and crime and people getting locked up are normalized. You are important in your city. You have a place, a life, a reputation, and a history. But what happens if you move forward in your life and you are not living in your city, and instead you move somewhere where no one knows you? What happens if you are in another town? Here's what probably happens. Your entire identity might be changing. It's a challenge because you do not feel accepted by the people in the new town because you think, talk, and act like someone who has been around drinking, drugs, jail, and violence your entire life. It is likely you identify with the people in your new town who are similar to your past, and they drink, do drugs, and talk about a lot of things that are illegal. For as long as you do not let go, you are holding on. So what's next? Do you see that using the tool, let go, may not be easy? The let go tool is not always easy, nor is it for the weak. Using let go for those things that create negativity in your life can be lonely, boring, confusing, or depressing. In this case, the tool let go may seem downright impossible to use successfully. People often ask, if I use let go, then what will I get as a replacement? If you no longer identify yourself as someone of importance in your city, then who are you? Here is another example. If your focus is to do whatever it takes to be a drug treatment counselor for kids, then that new identity needs to be so clear in your mind that the old identity is replaced and you begin to be an example for good. Having something positive to hold on to makes the use of let go easier. Let go in present time. Additionally, the GOGI Life Tool Let Go permits you to handle the present more powerfully. Use let go to rid yourself of the need for instant retaliation, which will only get you into more trouble. Did someone disrespect you? Has someone lied, cheated, or stolen? Use let go to replace the need for immediate revenge. Use let go to keep from overreacting, reacting too quickly, creating drama, or dragging others down that old worn-out road which leads to trouble. The tool let go keeps you from falling back into old patterns because you hand squash toss your way into the future. Lighten up with let go. Let go helps you move beyond all that has happened and all the negative which is included in your definition of self. Let go is a great tool if you are tired of carrying the weight of negativity around throughout your life, and it will require practice. Practice is the only way we can perfect a skill. Let go is a tool, but use of the tool can become a skill. This tool can be a painful one for some, which is why we keep it simple. We do not want you to try to use let go for the big stuff too soon. After all, it's the big stuff which may have defined you for a very long time. It would be impractical to suggest you simply let go of the very thing which consumed your life thus far. A die-hard GOGI student wrote this about the tool let go. I sit here now with the last of my life story, but afraid to use let go, because I may feel I will disappear. What a profound realization he had while on his GOGI journey. When what we have experienced is our life, how can we use let go? The little stuff. So, rather than feel as if you may disappear, you can use let go on the little stuff. Here's an example. If someone is making noises that are irritating, rather than let it irritate you, you practice let go. Use the tool let go and rid yourself of anything which might hold you back from being or feeling your best. Is your depression causing you to swim in a sea of negativity? Use the tool let go and rid yourself of thoughts which keep you in negative waters. Students of GOGI tell us that the simple act of putting the negativity in the palm of their hand, squashing it, and then tossing it away gets the emotion and the negativity out of their body so that they can think more positively. Keep it simple. Keeping it simple is always the best way to learn a new skill. When you can put most of life's irritation in the palm of your hand, squash them, and toss them out of your mind, only then will you be prepared to start tackling the big stuff. Using the tool let go could be your freedom from being the victim or creating a victim. But it is important to use the tool let go to stop victimizing yourself with negativity first. Use let go for the little stuff, and sometimes the big stuff disappears along the way. You won't disappear, but the negativity diminishes, and the new you has room to emerge. Hand squash toss. A simple way to use let go when in doubt is to put the thought that is bothering you in your hand and give it the hand squash toss. When you use let go, you are free to move forward. People tend to remember hurts and often carry the memory far into their future. At some point, however, the weight of the past becomes a burden. This tends to hold us back from a bright future. When we learn let go with the GOGI Life Tool, we are freed from the heavy load of the past and find the freedom to more bravely move forward into the future. Let go. Hand squash toss. When bothered, I put the feeling or the thought in my hand, I squash it, and I toss it away from me. Let go is challenging for some, but here's a simple way to begin to practice let go in your daily life. Eventually, you will be able to use let go for the big stuff that causes big pain. But here's how we use let go every day. Hand. I imagine that thought or feeling in my hand, out of my mind and out of my body and into my hand. Squash. I crumple up that concern, that thought, or that feeling. I have the power to squash it. Toss. I can let go and toss it in the can, toss it in the toilet, toss it to the sky or to the ground. I let go and I let it go. Let go. Out loud or silently, I say, I let go of anything and everything that holds me back. Once you get really good at using let go and are ready to move beyond day-to-day irritations, you can let go to help move beyond the big stuff too. Here's a little commentary. I remember one day I was walking onto the prison yard and a couple of my students came up to me and they said, "Coach, we just squashed a beef with let go." And I asked what had gone on, and one of the newer students had some argument with somebody else on the yard, and it was really, really close to a fight. And if it would have been a fight, it could have turned into a riot for all I know. One punch gets levied on somebody, and pretty soon it's a free-for-all. In any case, the seasoned GOGI students saw this new GOGI student getting all kind of wadded up, ready to blow. And he just called out to him and he said, "You're the boss of your brain. Let go." And the guy did. And the beef stopped, and the riot was avoided, and a new future was born.